Oh, hi! Well, we're taking another look at the old 57 Bel Air here. Where we left off. Where did we leave off? We unpacked the trunk. We took care of some bad decisions and regrets of past mechanics. And we have a lot more to deal with in that regard. But we got it running a whole lot better. What are we going to do this time around? I don't know. We're just going to have to figure it out. Now I am finding a lot of missing pieces as I look around. That's why I unpacked the trunk, so we could get our eyes on what we had. And unfortunately, it seems like we don't have quite a few things. Sill plates, I don't see them anywhere. Throttle pedal, don't see that anywhere. A lot of various gaskets and seals and things we're going to need. Hardware. Nobody in this car's past has bothered to bag and tag anything. As you saw in the last video, I have a large boot tray full of hardware. That's great. But I want to begin, I believe. I have some things on order for the engine. Oil cap, gas cap. We got the red rag jammed in the gas filler neck. The ubiquitous red rag. I need to come up with a solution to plug the hole on the back end of the block there for the old crankcase ventilation system. Kickdown rod. I mentioned in the previous video that throttle wasn't wanting to return all the way to closed, and for some reason I'm guessing that this monstrosity probably isn't correct. You know, it really should have a basically straight rod, and I don't know. Anyway, so I've got to figure that out. I know I can order one. I just need to do that. Working on the dash. If I get inside and do some work, I really want to start with the wiper system, just because now is the time to do it. You can get to stuff relatively easily up under there. So now is the time to make sure that all is going to go back in and to do it. So let's start there. Someone once sang that starting at the beginning was a very good place to start. So that's what we're going to do. Obviously, we want to make sure our wiper motor is even going to function before we go to the trouble of installing it. So let's do that. I think it's working. And it goes back to park. So there we go. Now, this thing still has a seal on the back of it. I mean, it's not good, but that could be something we look for. Now, I can't just go ahead and install this thing. We've got some other stuff to do first, but I think, yeah, man, if I want to have any chance of plugging that hole in the back of the block, I really need to do that before I throw this in there. Okay. Where do you get wired to? Huh? You don't know? Well, if you don't know, I don't know. there's that little scallywag. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't look like anything is installed on the inside, which wouldn't really matter either way, but just wanted to make sure. And I think I can get this if I crawl in the engine bay here with you. It's going to be a little difficult to get a straight shot, but we'll try. Again, this is 1.25" plug. Okay. Looks like we're doing okay. You know what I like? I like it when you have a parts man yet in this day and age who says, oh yeah, I used to do a lot of those back in the day. Now I'm getting a call, but there we go. Okay. Alright, got our brass elbow on there. So put this on for what I hope is the last time. But you never know about life's little surprises, right? So Dorman actually has a pretty slick little kit. I mean, it's been around forever. A plastic PCV, kind of a universal kit. Plastic hose. I don't know, 8 inches long or something. And then there's a straight rubber boot on one end and a 90 on the other. And you can take it apart, cut it to the length you need. I used 2 elbows, so I didn't really need that, and I just kind of felt that this would blend in. Rather than having a plastic line on this engine, this would kind of blend in a little bit better. Perhaps I'm wrong. Oh, why's everything gotta be like this? You all right? You gonna make it? Is that gonna? Yep. Okay. All right. Well, I've been waiting on parts for quite a while. I'm still waiting on a little nut tool to put the transmission things in. We can get them one way or another, but I will probably wait it out. I hope it'll be here soon. I got a service manual and I've got a factory assembly manual. Neither one is much help at all, really. I was really hoping the assembly manual would have better instructions, but I guess I should have known. Maybe the body service manual would, and I can try to figure that out, see if there's a PDF scan out there of this stuff. I've already spent 50, 60 bucks on manuals, and we're no farther ahead, you know. Anyway, I've been getting some hardware together. Thankfully, they labeled the little transmissions left and right, so I know which position each one goes in. And then our little chromed outside pieces can only go one way because of the little squirter in there. That has to correspond to the correct transmission, so we know where those go so we can get that in. We've confirmed our motor works. I have hardware to mount that back to the firewall. It seems like this cable, you're going to have to know what you're doing to get that set right. Now, I can't imagine any of it has come unspooled. I don't think that's even... doesn't look like that'd even be possible the way this is built, but we're going to have to figure out... I don't know. I mean, obviously they get clipped on these little drums here, but I don't know how that all works. Shooting in the dark here. I've never done this before on this type of thing. So, why let that stop us? I'm going to jump in there and start figuring it out. So my first order of business is I'm going to put the outside portion, the little ferrule, the escutcheon, whatever, and it has a little sprayer nozzle going with it. I've got a broken in half piece of toothpick, and I'm going to push that in there so that later on when we shove the transmission up from the other side and we have this thing full of sealant, that we're not going to get a spray nozzle full of sealant. I know I'm going to use too much here, but that's okay. Better than not enough. Now, I'm starting here because this is the same shape as the hole, and the transmission side is not. So this is going to center us and line us up for when we tighten it down. Alright, transmission portion, and this is where it becomes important that I feel you put a toothpick in there, because I have just covered the little hole for the tube up with this stuff. Maybe I'm being overzealous with the sealer, but I want it to seal. Alright, now we're way up under the dash. And we got that tube with the toothpick sticking out. And I got my cable top. There we go. The seat was grabbing it. So I'm going to try to start this. And that toothpick through that hole. Oh, I lost my... Okay, try this another way. Oh man, floor is painful. Okay. Where's the toothpick? Okay. Alright. That's it. If I'm through far enough, start the nut. Oh. Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Got interrupted and I thought we would have lost something here. Alright. Get our nut on if I can. Now this is kind of laughable, but I ordered, same time I only had one of these nuts here, so same time I ordered one, I ordered the tool to put it on, just because it's so much nicer to have it, and then you don't bung up, you know, the slots and everything. This is what I got. How? What? I don't... It's incomprehensible. Anyway, so I just spent, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, piece of 1/2-inch pipe, an old door hinge pin, and there we go. Sometimes you just have to laugh. Now this guy is gonna go right in here. Still had a decent gasket on it, so we're just gonna run with it. See if I can get these screws started. Come on now. Oh, why do you have to fight me? There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. We got a wire. Another rubber bushing, so it's not grounded yet. What does that mean? Well, I gotta figure it out, brother. Oh, okay. Well, let me know how it goes. Sure, no problem. Well, the old brain, I mean, it is humming. It is clipping along just at an amazing rate. So we're getting things figured out, that is for sure. Came in here, I was gonna attack the switch end of things, and wouldn't you know it, I think they meant to sell this for removing the nut on the switch, not the transmission ones, but that's okay. You know, I ended up needing it. However, the center portion of the switch was too large to fit the hole that they made, so I did have to drill that out. So, you know, they tried. What can I say? Anyway, we got a cable, and I think that can go. I don't know which grommet necessarily. I'll have to look in the assembly manual, and then I take it this thing. Did dust just pour out of that thing? Wow. I better I don't understand how this system works, really. Why a vacuum? I'm not sure. Well, I thought better of it, but I did it anyway, and I'm glad I did. Took this thing apart, and my fingers, I'm sure it's blasting media. My fingers are just full of grit. Coming out of here, of course, we saw, well, I don't know if you could see it from your vantage point through the camera, but a lot of junk did come out of here when I was messing with it in the car. Now, I oiled the cable and I put some oil in here before I took it apart, and I got it moving a whole lot better than it originally was. Still quite stiff, so I'm going to spray everything, clean everything up with brake clean, and then try oiling again. This little spring washer was there, and then this guy was screwed on, and you got a rubber, it's like a rubber disc and a metal one in there, and then a spring, then the cap. That's how that went together. Yeah, just loaded with grit again. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and oiled. I've been trying to get this shaft out, and it hasn't wanted to come out. I don't see a snap ring or anything. Also don't have a knob for the dash, so I'll have to look for one of those. With a little bit of persuasion, I was able to get the gear out and the shaft, and that thing is rough. That is terrible. I'm going to have to get some emery cloth and shine that thing back up. You can see the little worm gear in there. Come on, camera. You don't like this. Okay. Anyway. I'm sure you can see it in there moving. Alright. You know what I hear in my head every time I get out this? Lubriplate 105! Had a guy in my tech school that was easily 10 years older than all of us high school graduates, you know. He had been a former prison guard, big, bulky son of a gun. And I don't know if lubriplate was just so special to him, but that's how he said it every time he got to use it. Which is just fine. After being a prison guard, I think anything would be pretty exciting. Well, I can now move the thing in its full cycle with my fingers, you know. Could not do that before. So we're just going to do this. Sorry. Well, the old gray matter is just really humming along and in danger of reaching dynamo status. Turns out I do have the correct knob. You know, the little push pin. Confused me. This has a factory washer system on it, obviously. And according to my research, now there can't be hardly any other car in the history of the world that has been more thoroughly researched and restored and, you know, come on, 57 Chevy, but yet in my lifetime I have never gone through one, worked on one, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. So I am learning a lot here. The electric, I saw that in the book already. This would have been standard equipment vacuum wiper motor yet. What's going on back there? Anyway, but it was a factory option for electric wipers. I'm guessing that's what we have, the factory version. I'm sure there were many aftermarket ones. I didn't even bother looking around on the case of that thing to see if there were any, you know, Delco markings or anything like that. So down here next to the radiator we have the bracket that held the washer fluid jar, but we have nothing else. And this thing is kind of interesting. It apparently operated completely on vacuum. They made pressure for the washer fluid using vacuum. Had a hole, the jar lid had an apparatus with diaphragms, it looks like, on it. Had a whole cluster of hoses going to the motor, going to the switch, obviously going to the engine for vacuum, and then lines going to each spray nozzle. We don't have any of that, just the bracket and the switch and the motor and the transmissions. I don't know that I'm going to get bogged down in any of that. That's certainly something we can find out from the owner later. It might just be more, it might just be easier. You know, I don't know how detail oriented he is at this point and just wants to find every bit and piece that's correct for this thing. Honestly, I think he just wants to drive it. So, I don't know. Also, it seems like your push button for your washer fluid is just breaking a seal, that rubber diaphragm, that rubber disc inside of here, and all you're doing is pushing against it with this needle. So you must be breaking vacuum, causing a vent on the switch end, and somehow that caused pressure on the other end. I don't even pretend to know how it worked at this point. it'd be interesting to figure all that out. That's not what we're after today. I want to get this installed. I ordered a firewall grommet that this goes through and the main harness going to the engine. So we got to wait on that. Also ordered a hood seal. I ordered a gas pedal. I ordered sill plates. There's supposed to be a whole set of steel covers that go underneath the sill plates to cover up the wiring that's going to the back of the car. Don't have any of that, so we're going to have to get into that. I thought I had wiper arms and blades. I was sure I unpacked those, and maybe they're hiding here yet, but I haven't seen them. Do you remember? You were there. I also want a steering column seal for the firewall. Missing that. So I got to write that down. Anyway, we're going to get back underneath and try to finish up the under the dash part. That was the whole point of this. Let's try to get that done. Now that we got our little knob working. Let's see if I sneak you through here. Yeah, there you go. Oh, let's take you underneath. Oh, okay. So you can see how we're attached. You know, we got the washer, little spray nozzle line hooked up. Looks like everything's sealed pretty well. I want to show you something over at the driver's side, though. Now, when I got the vehicle, and up to just now, the fuse panel was attached to the same bracket as our driver's side transmission. And I went ahead and put it back there, and I was just thinking, man, that is way too high and way too inaccessible to make any sense. Why put it way up there, clear behind the instrument panel? And I looked right down here. I don't know if you can see that. Right down there, we have two holes in the outline of what looks suspiciously like a fuse panel. So, I do believe I will be taking this back off and relocating that back to its correct location. Now, I would have helped myself a whole lot had I gone forth with a little more intelligence, but we're getting it done anyway. I should have really oiled those transmissions up quite a bit, but I got it done, like I say. And I went ahead and did the one that's kind of hard to see. I'll set up and finish the driver's side with you. But I found this diagram online, and that helped a lot. And what you do, you put that thing into service mode, and then you can stretch the cables out, get them attached, and then once attached, you pop it back how it's supposed to be in wiper mode, and they retension themselves. So the right hand one goes to the front spool, and it's crossed. So this cable on the bottom is wrapping around that front drum and hooking in back on the right side, and then the top one is simply going over the top and hooking into the left side. And I tested it out, and it is turning the wiper shaft the correct way. So we have this one to do yet. So to go into installation mode, we're going to simply push in on the shaft. So now you may notice that it does not turn the shaft, but it is spring loaded. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take our bottom cable towards our drum, and I'm going to install that. My apologies, but if I have a camera set up, I can't see around it, or all you get is hands and elbows, you know. So I'm going to have to do what I did on the other one. I got my this bottom cable here attached to the first hook point. I think I'm gonna have to do some trial and error, but the hook point's on the bottom on the right hand side, and then I think the top one is gonna wrap around the top and hook the hook point on the left hand side of the drum. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. Now, what was similar about the last time is my first cable that has no spring has a lot of slack after I've done that. So I'm gonna reset this. And turn it and take up that slack. Where's my pliers? I don't know why that's kind of stiff now. Okay. I got all kinds of junk on the floor pan here, so. Okay, so get some sloppiness out of that one. And I think we're okay yet. Feels like it. Now, if I go back to service mode, like so, I should have even more length to play with on the spring-loaded one. So I'm going to wrap that around the drum and get it hooked on. And then we'll see after that. Okay, we have her back in wipe mode. And this is how it's looking. Everything looks tensioned up pretty good. Once again, I got them set on the drums over there, and then we just bang the shaft back up into the, you know, where it's supposed to be. This is how it's looking. See if I can get this. You can see the little notches that the cable ends grab onto. I don't know. They said the right hand one, the cables get crossed. The left hand one, they go straight to. Personally, I see them as both being crossed on the drum, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. Oh, but let's turn it on. No, not that. I guess I had the key on already. There we go. Both spinning away. Just like that. And then we go to park. Let me do that again. Let me cycle it again for you. And they go to park in the correct direction. I don't know if you were seeing that. There's feathers flying around. So it's basically working, but from what I read online, again, this is just from guys talking about the subject, you know, that should have been originally just a one-wire install. You hook the power wire to the 12-volt side of the resistor, and it's self-grounding through the case or the body to the sheet metal, and away you go. Mine does not ground. I had to have a jumper wire to get it to run to ground. Aha! RPO 320 electric windshield wiper. Windshield wiper motor ground wire secured under auxiliary drive assembly mounting screw. Evidently we're missing something there, huh? I'm sure it's fine. So everywhere I turn on this car, I run into, I either don't have it, or I question whether the owner really wants what I do have put back on because of the condition of it. Now I went into this, you know, looking at the trim from a distance. Man, that looks sharp, but you get close and you see dings and dents and scratches. And I just kind of went into it thinking maybe his attitude is, if it's halfway decent, put it back on. Let's get this thing done. But I may not be being too fair. He may, this thing's been in shops for years and years and years. He may not even know exactly what's going on, I put in a call to him and I haven't heard back. So we need to go over just what his plan is exactly. Now that I'm getting a better idea of what things look like, I really need to know what he wants exactly here to happen. All of the trim on the dash, the stainless decorative stuff, we have it all, but it's pretty beat up. Is he fine with that? Does he want to run that? Does he want me to find better stuff? Anyway, I moved on. For the wiper switch, I need the labeled kind of ring. I don't know how to tell you that, but it tells you, wipers, lights. It's a plastic ring with black plastic ring with white lettering that tells you what it is. Don't have that. For the ignition switch escutcheon, it needs a little lock ring under it. I don't have that. There's a little bit of a problem with the light switch escutcheon and the lock nut that holds the switch in. I need to decide what I want to do there. It's just everything has a problem, and I need to either get something for it or modify it or find the right thing or whatever. So I was thinking, well, we could move on to the heater. Well, I need parts there. Then I was thinking, well, we could move on to the dash, the trim. Got a question there. I was thinking, well, I could move on to, why not the carpet, the flooring? Well, there's missing body bolts, body mounts. So I crawled under there just now, and I'll show you what I found. So I had an instructor right out of high school. I went to Salina Tech School, and I had an instructor. He was a retired Army guy. I don't have no clue what his rank ever was or what he ended up with, but you can imagine his attitude regarding high school students coming into his school and their attitudes and their problems and their tendency to stand around and not do anything, and he would often get after us for standing around playing pocket pool instead of doing work, it's that attitude that's gonna get you every time. So we see here, floor pan has been replaced. We got evidence of MIG welding all along right here. We can make pretty music on the ends they didn't clean up. They didn't bother fixing a rotten brace. But more importantly, we've got, obviously we have no body mount in here. Why don't we have a body mount? Well, we have a complete lack of, we should have another floor brace like that right here, taking up the lion's share of this gap, and then we have our rubber pad. They just omitted that, and we stand around playing pocket pool instead of doing what we're supposed to do, is the attitude I'm getting from all this. So I will not be putting the cab mount in, which means I can't put the carpet in because I can't get the bolt in. Great. So I suppose that until I talk to the guy, by the time you see this video, honestly, I mean, this is probably going to be several weeks in the future, I'll have answers and I'll be getting parts, and then we can start afresh, you know. But there's just not much I can do until we start getting some stuff. That's kind of a bummer that I have to dig into body work on the bottom side and do something that somebody should have done a long time ago, but that's how it is. So I'll be looking for that. Heater parts, dash parts, engine parts, interior parts, all kinds of parts. Anyway, I guess this is going to do it for this video, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to clean up. I'm going to lash myself to something strong before I blow away. And I will see you guys on the next one. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. I said that completely out of order. You understand. Bye-bye. No. Socket.